This is the drip tray from my coffee maker, and I realized recently it kind of provides the perfect metaphor or example of a kind of unfortunate dynamic that goes on in a lot of relationships. Certainly my relationship with my husband, but I think it crops up in almost all romantic relationships, family relationships, friends, people you work with, people you live with, yourself, maybe your pets, the list goes on. And I know this looks like a bad prop from a 1970s sci-fi, but it really did get me thinking about this. As a bonus, if you're more into gross, disgusting things, I have a gross, disgusting example of this dynamic that I'll share at the end of the video, so feel free to skip ahead to that if that's more your thing. If you don't like gross, disgusting things, I'll give you a warning before we get there, because it's pretty bad. Let me explain what I mean. Now, this is not some deep symbolic thing I'm talking about. I'm literally talking about the function performed by the drip tray and how me and my husband respond to it differently. So as water, coffee, whatever runs off into this thing, there's this little red guy that pops up and starts to float as the water level gets too high, warning you, hey, I'm about to overflow. The official rule in our household is when you notice that little red bobbing sign start to float up, you empty the drip tray. You're a good citizen of the household. But in practice, what happens is my husband notices that little bobbing sign way sooner than I do. More accurately, he cares about it way sooner than I do. And so he is the one who empties out the drip tray. We discovered this recently when it became apparent that I was doing it about once a week and he was doing it close to daily. We drink a lot of coffee. And it made me realize that this dynamic has kind of been going on in our relationship for a while, and also in most of the relationships in my life up until this point. I typically, relative to other people, do not get bothered by things as quickly. And that means that in a certain sense, I've kind of been winning in these relationships in this one aspect, because I don't have to empty the drip tray as often. Back when I was in university and had flatmates, I almost never did the dishes. Not because I was lazy and thought it was fair that I never did the dishes, but my tolerance for the stack of dirty dishes was just much higher than the people I lived with. And I totally concede that this is not fair, but when I'm going about living my life on autopilot mode, this is how I see it. It does not occur to me to empty the drip tray in its current state, and so somebody else empties it. My husband. So it's kind of like he's the canary in the coal mine, and I am the coal mine, I guess. He's the spark plug that sort of jumps into action. I am the slow burning stick of dynamite that might actually never do anything. And so he and I have talked about this. We know this is a dynamic in our relationship, and we try to compromise. I do my best to keep it front of mind that there are certain tasks, chores that he is going to do unfairly often if I don't do them before I am prompted to by my little antennas that notice it needs done. I think as well he tries to bear in mind that I'm not inherently lazy. I'm not meaning any ill will by not doing these things. It just doesn't come naturally to me. So that compromise and understanding is kind of the best approach that we have found. Can you relate to this in any of your relationships, or am I just totally wrong here? Are you the doer, the person who acts first? The canary, the spark plug, who ends up doing more than their fair share more often because it just gets to you first? Or are you the me, the coal mine of the relationship, where whether you mean to or not, you're just not contributing your fair share? Because it's actually really tricky. No matter which role you're playing, somebody, the canary, is carrying more of the mental load of the relationship. And that can really suck. For them, certainly, it's exhausting, but also for the other person in the relationship. It can lead to resentment, tension, that sort of thing. It's the invisible work of keeping things ticking along that the canary does that really keeps these relationships going. And I really think that needs to be called out more and appreciated. That's why I don't have that great of a solution, because I am the guilty party here. And all I can really do is throw my hands up and own it and promise to try and do better next time. Do you have a better solution than that? Whether you're a canary or a coal mine? Because for now, it's all I've got. Sorry, husband dearest. And that's really how I was planning to end this video. Until life threw something really disgusting at me. We're now at that part of the video where the skippers from the start can come back in. We can talk about the disgusting gross version, and the thing that life threw at me helped kind of right the balance a little bit of what I bring to our relationship in terms of mental and physical load. because it was that disgusting. Not only is it another example of the canary coal mine metaphor, it also is a potential solution to the dilemma. Look for ways of contributing that aren't emptying the drip tray, but instead playing to your strengths. Let's just get down to it. Last weekend, we were swimming out in the garden in our pool. My son was collecting some of his balls from the pool filter, and he said, "There's something in there, Daddy." Pool owners may know what's about to happen. Drop a comment with your guess either way. So in response to my reassurance, my son said, "No, it was something wet and sluggy." And I was like, oh, that does sound like something might be dead in there. And well, we got out the pool pretty quickly, and I resolved to deal with it later. So you can see what it ended up being was some sort of rat. And I leapt into action and got my 3 layers of protective plastic to keep between me and the dead rat, and I carefully and respectfully transported the dead, bloated rat from its watery grave into the trash bag, into the bin in my garage. So why am I telling you this other than just making you relive this horrific experience with me? Well, this is a strength of mine. I do disgusting things. My husband is happy to do the disgusting things too, but I was more than willing to jump in and say, "I've got this, don't worry, you stick to the drip tray, I'll deal with this dead rat." And he was grateful. Certainly nobody wants to be fishing out dead mammals from their pool. And so it just leaves me feeling like, okay, maybe my tolerance for noticing dead rats in the pool is slightly less strong than his, and he was gonna let it fester for a bit longer. No, that's not the case. But I'm aware that more of the mental and physical load of our relationship, of our domestic life, falls to him. And so when I do see an opportunity to contribute, whether big or small, that I know will be appreciated, I dive in. Not diving into the dead rat pool, but other situations, yes, definitely. So that is the end of your bonus rat content. If you're still here, wonderful. And for now, I will say, see you next time.